come on, turn the radio on. It's Friday night and I won't be long. Gotta do my hair and put my makeup on. It's Friday night and I won't be long.
Hello everybody, this is the second edition of Radio Talk, and let us get into things as soon as we can without any delay. Okay, so the topic today is community radio stations and campus radio stations. Now, what are community radio stations?
मंदाकिनी की आवाज़ एक सामुदायिक रेडियो है, यानी कम्युनिटी के द्वारा चलने वाला रेडियो.
Community radio stations, they form the third tier of a three-tier radio broadcasting system. Okay, the first tier is the public broadcasting, that is All India Radio and their channels. Above them we have the private commercial FM radio, and then we have the third tier, which are the low power non-commercial FM stations. Now, what are these stations? Well, they are low power stations. They have a maximum effective radiated power of 100 watts. Alright, and sometimes they can extend to 250 watts also, and the maximum range they cover, or the average range they cover, would be 10 kilometers to 15 kilometers radius. So they transmit for 10 to 15 kilometers from the center of wherever they are broadcasting from. They are owned, operated and managed by the community themselves, and the focus is participatory content.
सामुदायिक रेडियो से हम जुड़े हुए हैं, और ऐसे हम फ़ोन करके उनको बता देते हैं कि दीदी हम मेरी आंगनवाड़ी में आज ये प्रोग्राम है, तो वे अपने रेडियो में बता देते हैं, जिससे कई लोग जागरूक होकर हमारे सेंटर में आते हैं और जो गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा दी गई सुविधाएं उनका बहुत अच्छे से फ़ायदा उठाते हैं.
This content, it addresses the local needs. Now, community radio stations, they operate on the FM band, that is around 88 to 100 megahertz, and they are free to air channels. Now, they emphasize community participation, local languages, dialects and development programming, making them distinct from the top down or national and profit driven commercial media.
जब से ये कुमाऊवाड़ी स्टेशन खुला है तब से काफ़ी रेडियो अभी फिर पहले से चल गए हैं, नहीं तो रेडियो को पहचानते ही कहाँ थे.
हमारा जो कुमाऊवाणी रेडियो है उसका एक अपना एक पहचान बन चुकी है. आज की तारीख में लोग कुमाऊवाणी को जितना पहचानते हैं उतना ही इस बात को भी पहचानते हैं कि अपन रेडियो अपन बात क्या है.
आप सभी को नमस्कार, साथ में ढेर सारा प्यार. मैं हूँ आपकी दोस्त वंदना और लेकर आई हूँ आपके लिए गली गली सिम सिम.
Community radio emerged as a response to the need for grassroots participatory media in a diverse country like India. Okay, now unlike centralized broadcasting, the community radio stations gives the voice to the voiceless. Okay, it empowers the marginalized communities, that is rural, tribal women, disaster prone areas, to produce and broadcast content relevant to their lives. Now, what are the key features? The first thing, it is non-profit and community-centric ownership. Okay. The secondly, at least 50% of the content must be generated with local community participation. Now, the focus is on issues like agriculture, health, education, environment, social welfare, and culture. Okay. Now, also, these community radio stations, they serve as powerful tools during disasters, during national calamities, when the other media may not be effective, other media may not be able to reach these areas in time.
मंदाकिनी की आवाज़ सामुदायिक रेडियो हम लोग यहाँ पे चला रहे हैं. इसका जो सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरत हमको महसूस हुई वो हुई 2013 की आपदा में. कनेक्टिविटी के साधन कुछ थे नहीं, लोग अच्छे से सूचनाओं का आदान प्रदान नहीं कर पा रहे थे. यहाँ नज़दीकी में मंदाकिनी नदी बहती है, तो उसी के हिसाब से मंदाकिनी की आवाज़ नाम रखा गया था. मंदाकिनी की आवाज़ समुदाय से आने वाले हर बिंदुओं पे कार्यक्रम बनाती है. रुद्रप्रयाग जनपद जैसे पहाड़ी एरिया है, आपदाओं की अगर बात करें तो एक तो भूकंप हो गया, फिर भूस्खलन हो गया, ओलावृष्टि, और जो सबसे मेन है वनों की आग।
Also, one important thing is this, that these radio stations, they are regulated by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, okay, under the strict content and operational guidelines to ensure public interest, to ensure that these radio stations are not misused for anything else. So now, this is what community radio stations are all about.
Did you know that the Indian Army runs a community radio station in Kargil? Your task is to find out more about this unique radio station.
Let's start at the very beginning. A very good place to start.
Before 1995, from independence to 1995, we see that All India Radio is the major and the only broadcaster, because the state said that broadcasting is definitely something that should be in the hands of the government. Now, how did this change? And it starts with India's love for cricket, of all things. Yes, cricket. Now, the Cricket Association of Bengal, all right, they wanted to have their international cricket tournament, which they were having, to be covered by another satellite channel, a sports-based satellite channel, which they thought would give them a better coverage rather than Doordarshan, which would do all the matches. Okay. Now what happened? The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting said nothing doing, no fears. What rubbish? Okay. Government controls broadcasting and no private broadcasting can come in. All right. The Cricket Association of Bengal, they march off to the court and they go to the courts. They say let the court solve it. So then in February 1995, the matter is discussed in the Supreme Court of India, and then you have a landmark judgment which goes beyond the cricket. The Supreme Court, it ruled that airwaves are a public resource that must serve the public good, breaking the legal foundation of state broadcasting monopoly. By 1999, you have the Phase 1. The Phase 1 is private FM but not community radio. So the government auctions FM frequencies to the commercial broadcasters. Okay, the community radio activists are left out. Critics began making noise. They began saying that this is an Orwellian reading of the Supreme Court judgment. How can you say that public means private enterprise? After years of campaigning, finally in December 2002, what happens? The government of India, it announces a policy for granting community radio licenses, but only to well-established educational institutions. So you see, the very first what happens? Campus radio starts to well-established educational institutions. 104 applications are received. But the first community radio station was started on the 1st February 2004. Okay, this was called Anna FM. Okay, it was the first radio station which was awarded to Anna University in Chennai. Okay, so this was, it was 90.4 MHz and it was India's first licensed community radio station, and of course it was inaugurated by the then Deputy Prime Minister of India, Mr. L.K. Advani. Now afterwards, very quickly, 17 more campuses were granted this thing. That was Jamia Millia Institute, IGNOU, FTII, SRFTI, IIMC. So all these were granted. 17 campus radio stations were granted one after another after that. So then what happens on 2006, the policy is expanded. Okay, the NGOs and civil society are included. The Union Cabinet says, okay, we have to look once again at the community radio policy. We have to open the licenses to non-profit organizations, to civil society groups, to the state agricultural universities and so on. So Krishi Vigyan Kendras, other registered trusts. So then the license period also was extended. It was 3 years before, to extend it to 5 years. Okay, and then first the transmitter power was only 50 watts, but then it was raised to 100 watts. So it had around 12 to 15 kilometer coverage radius. The first NGO operated community radio in India was Sangham Radio. Okay, 90.4 megahertz. It was run by the Deccan Development Society in Pastapur village, Medak district, Andhra Pradesh.
సంగం రేడియో వింటున్న మీకు అందరికీ నమస్తే. ఈరోజు 15వ తారీఖు 10వ నెల 2008వ సంవత్సరం అన్నమాట. మరి ఈ రోజు నుండి మనకు సంగం రేడియో సురువైతున్నది.
So even today it goes on air at around 11 a.m. Okay, and this is the India's first community radio station to be operated by women, and it continues to this day. Alright, it was founded on the principle that village women should be producers and not just consumers of media.
భూమి ఎప్పుడు దున్నాలే, బిచ్చ పొల్ల కథలు ఇప్పుడు అట్లాంటివి అయితే ఎవరు పట్టించుకొనకు వచ్చాను కదా, అవుట్ మీద చేస్తాము.
So the Northeast India's first community radio station was KRISHNER Handik State Open University, KKHSOU, Guwahati. Okay, so this initiated the Northeast first community radio station at its 90.4 megahertz, and this started from January 2009. So that was 2009-2010, and we had the first radio station coming up in Guwahati. Now by 2014 we see that 140 radio stations are operational. Now 2016 is a very important date, because here is when Radio Salesian, the first campus radio of the Darjeeling Hills, it comes into being. Now Radio Salesian, it operates at 90.8 FM. It is run by Salesian College Sonada in Darjeeling. It was launched on the 8th of December 2016, and it's the first FM radio station of Darjeeling, and it's the first college based radio of North Bengal and the entire Northeast. Now remember, the first college based radio, other radios were university based radios. This is the first college based radio, and it comes up, it radiates from the hills of Darjeeling in North Bengal. Okay, and its transmitter, it reaches the tea gardens, it reaches hill villages, and it reaches across the border, even into the border villages of Nepal. Okay, so we'll talk about Radio Salesian a little bit more later. Now another landmark would be India's 500th radio station, which was opened in Mizoram. Okay, on the 25th of July 2024, what happens? Union Minister Ashwini Vaishnav inaugurated Apna Radio 90 FM, 90.0 FM at the IIMC Aizawl campus in Mizoram. And this was India's 500th commissioned community radio station, and it is Mizoram's first community radio station. India has over 540 community radio stations. Okay, now 191 of them, they are run by educational institutions. All right, 283 are run by NGOs, and 20 are run by Krishi Vigyan Kendras. Salesian College Sonada is the first college under the University of North Bengal and in the entire Northeast area to operate a community radio.
Broadcasting from Salesian College, Sonada, Darjeeling since 2016, the radio connects local tea garden people with the students and teachers. Accompanying to daily chores, the radio is a platform to share knowledge through programs on education, culture, health, social and community issues.
There's programming in Nepali, which makes it the first Nepali language broadcasting community radio station in India. It also broadcasts in the Lepcha language and English. Now in 2020, the station expanded its reach by launching a dedicated Lepcha language program. Radio Solution, it occupies a distinctive place in the entire community radio landscape because it is, well, the first FM radio station of Darjeeling. It is the first college-based community radio station of North Bengal and the entire Northeast. It is the only Nepali language community radio station. It is the only community radio station that broadcasts in the Lepcha language, and it has programs that incorporate the tea garden workers, the hill villages of Darjeeling and Kurseong belt, and also you have cross-border listeners in Nepal. How about that?
A radio of the people, by the people, and for the people. Radio Solution gives a platform to the voiceless farmers, tea garden workers, children, youth, women, promoting local talent and achievers while passing on the wisdom of the elderly.
Thought for the day during live shows every hour on the hour from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
From Monday to Friday.
Be inspired by thought-provoking 1-minute presentations in English and Nepali languages.
By Salesian College students.
Starting from 8 December 2022, Radio Salesian's 7th Foundation Day.
Brought to you by Mass Communication and Journalism Department, Salesian College, Siliguri and Sonada.
I think it's high time that institutions of repute like Patna Women's College and Xavier University of Bihar, they should seriously think about initiating their own community radio channels so that their students in mass media and other students could also participate in actual development work through the medium of radio. Bye for now. But before I go, remember that community radio is radio for the people, by the people, with people-generated content expressing the issues of the local people. And that's why it is very important. That is also a very crucial part of our freedom of speech and expression, which is guaranteed in our Indian Constitution.